but you give them the tools so that they can do it themselves. Is that what it's like?
Yeah, it's incredible interpretation, and you're right on the mark. Basically,
Right.
what a vision coach is I help you be seen.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different reasons why people fail in business. One of them is they don't spend enough time getting past themselves to be seen, getting out into the marketplace.
Can you elaborate on that? Getting past yourself. What do you mean?
Well, in all the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, or aspiring entrepreneurs that I've worked with, or people that said raised their hand and said, "Yes, I want to have my own business, or I want to turn my side hustle into something different than what it is today." The biggest issue that I have is with them. It's not even the business. Building the business is not a big deal because you can take pretty much anything you're passionate about and turn it into a moneymaker. Um, we've had plenty of success doing that in just about every industry, service-based industry, product-based industry, whatever. But the biggest issue really is themselves, right? They have limiting beliefs. They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they can
Right.
do it. They've been programmed from the time that they were a child to believe a certain way, and now they're confronted. All this time you're told, by mom and dad, don't talk to strangers, and then all of a sudden,
You,
I'm
you
telling
talk to
you,
strangers.
I need you to talk to strangers, right, in
Yeah.
order to
Uh
make
huh.
money, and you're like, yeah, I'm having a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. So no surprise. That's a good
Exactly,
example. There's no surprise that there's a bit of friction or obstacles when it comes to doing exactly that. Uh,
exactly.
how'd you get into that area of expertise? How'd you get into that? How long you been doing it?
Let's see. I've been helping people with their businesses for the past almost 10 years now.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah, so it was just a natural thing because I had a desire to start my own thing. And so it really intrigued me. And so I went and learned all this stuff. And then of course, as people see you become successful, the people in your circle, they're like, "Hey, how did you do that?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it just naturally grew into me helping this person do this or that. And it ended up developing into a business. So much so until now right now we have four businesses that are established. We've got another two or three that are in the parking lot that we're waiting to, till the timing is right to bring them on board. You don't want to over
When you say
extend your
when you say
energies,
we, you're
right?
talking about your family, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've got one business with the business partner. Our real estate investment business is not necessary. It's not connected to my family per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's me and this other guy, and we own a company called One House.
Okay.
And basically, it's a real estate investment firm based here in Texas. But we're in the process of purchasing properties in multiple different states right now. So I mean, it's just that's the only one that's not really a family thing.
Yeah. It's you something like you got this other guy associate you're working with, and you guys went out and started your own separate business. I got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of Texas, that's where you guys are, that's where you live. So, when that snowstorm hit, was there any, I don't know, any turbulence in terms of business? Did that slow y'all down? Because I know you're originally from up north, so I imagine you didn't really have, the worst, sense of running, obstacles in the snowstorm. Were y'all good?
Yeah, I mean, the business side of it didn't slow down. What knocked us in the dirt was not having internet access. And so, so because we have an office in our home,
Mm.
so not going to an outside office is not really a deterrent for us, or not. It's not something that pushes us down. But we work wherever we are, and so it's
Yeah.
it's it's good in that sense. But when the power went out, it knocked out the internet connection through our provider, and so while we had electricity in the house, we didn't have any
Didn't
internet
have any
connection.
internet. Yeah. And so that's the one dilemma I can think of in terms of having a working from computer, working at home sort of job that you can do. Like if you don't have internet, like you're just stuck. You're just stuck basically. So
yeah. So I can hear someone saying right now, "What about your hotspot on your phone?" Which we actually used until the ice took out the repeaters.
Yeah.
And so, Houston, as you can imagine, is not prepared for ice.
Oh no, I'm in Alabama, so yeah, I definitely understand that.
So you understand it, right?
Yeah, it's the I wouldn't say the best. One of the interesting things like down south is when you see people driving at normal speed in the snow, and they think that when they hit the brakes, they think the car is going to stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's definitely it's quite the adjustment. I can say that.
Right, exactly.
Go ahead.
But our phones went down too because the repeaters got knocked out with the ice, and so that drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were inviting people over to the house that didn't have power. There were people that some of our friends and family members that were without power were like, no, don't even sit over there in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
Come join us. So
we're here where it's warm.
Yeah. So we had a little compound going over here, but it was only for a few days, and it was good. We enjoyed it. I just couldn't do much business while all the phones and everything were out though.
Yeah, that was cool. Real cool, y'all. How'd that get set up? Like, how'd y'all, like, I guess, set up the compound, for lack of a better word?
Well, I don't know why our cul-de-sac was the only area within I don't know how many miles that had power. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it could have been because we're on the same power grid as the schools that are close to us.
Right.
So I'm assuming that's what it was, but I really can't tell you. But while we did have internet and phones, internet on our phones. While we did have our cell phones, we were checking on people that we knew, and of course we were like, if you can get out if you can traverse this ice and get over here, then don't sit in the cold. We had one of our friends, they went and slept in the car because that was the only heat they had.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like, just being a few years off of grade school, I can definitely, I see the actual non-school perspective here, like the real world sort of thing. Because when I was in grade school, I was hoping it would snow mainly so we could have a snow day. Down south, we don't get a lot of snow, and so I could get out of school. So that was like the main two
benefit,
thing.
right?
Exactly, yeah. And so I definitely see the cons of that. The snow, especially when you're not prepared for it.
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in Philadelphia, right? So we got a ton of snow there. I lived in Great Falls, Montana for a year. I lived in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, just south of St. Paul, in a town called Cottage Grove, Minnesota. We were there for just over the winter. I was there on contract, so we were there for 4 months. And so I lived in a lot of cold places in my days. Kansas City was the place I spent the most time. And it was cold, but the wind was the worst part, right? So it got really ice cold, and then the wind would come through and just cut you, like a knife. But not a lot of snow. Like, it was very mild winters, maybe, 12 or 15, 20 inches of snow tops the whole season.
It was just the wind that was making it hard for you.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, I guess segueing over, what are some ways or strategies a newcomer could go or take in terms of starting their own business?
Well, the first thing you have to do, really, when I sit down with the new client, is that hasn't established anything. Usually people will try it first before they take on a coach,
Yeah.
But if I'm lucky enough to get somebody that's in the extreme infant stages where they really haven't done anything, the first thing that I help them do is define their purpose. I mean, that's if you don't know what you're getting ready to involve yourself in, you don't know which direction to go.
Right.
So we have to figure out what do you want to do? What is your purpose? And who is your audience? Who are you going to be? You're screaming at the top of your lungs into a crowd. who is the one that's going to turn around and listen to you, and so
Right.
that's what we try to focus on first. Of course, all the administrative stuff on the back end, getting the EIN and setting up the LLCs or S or C corp, if depends on the company. Usually, I will give advice on that, but I definitely refer to, because I'm not an attorney and I'm not an accountant. So we have a CFO for our business, and he's a master whiz with numbers and knows the tax laws and stuff. And so
Yeah.
we trust him with that. And I absolutely. If you're going to make any money, I absolutely tell people, you need to have a CFO in your corner. When I say CFO, CPA in your corner, because, the tax laws are vast, and you really, there's a lot of loopholes that you can take advantage of being an entrepreneur, and helping you to minimize your tax liabilities. Plus, you also want to have an attorney in your back pocket, because people are sue happy. And you need to make sure that you are compliant with whatever you're doing in the marketplace as well. So, but the first thing I would definitely do is focus on who they are, what they want to do, and who they need to talk to.
Yeah, like it's definitely the response is much more beneficial, or not. It's much more effective when you're making it personal, like like reaching out to a group of people rather than just like the whole world, like everybody, like just reaching out to this one person, their business, saying, hey, can I help you with this? Or this one group, hey, do you guys need any help with this?
Absolutely.
So then once you get past that phase, I'd say like walk me through it, like what's next after that?
So after we figure out what the purpose is and what audience we're really going to talk to, we need to figure out.
Because like the place I'm trying to get to, like at what point does social media become a thing, and how do you, I guess, sort of traverse that? Like where do you go in terms of social media?
Well, social media is part of the next step, because we have to define. We have to give a place for people to see who you are, and we have to build what they call the trust factor.
Okay.
So the trust factor is something that's very important for the consumer to for the consumer to make a connection with in order to buy from you. In the marketplace, there's only about 15%, 13 to 15% of the market that is ready to buy at any one given time. Maybe a little bit more than that, depending upon how hot the market is. But for the most part, it's only about 13 to 15%. So what about that other 80 to 85% of the people? Well, they're just kind of hanging out there, right? Not to say that they don't want to buy, but they're not ready right now.
Yeah.
So the problem that I've come across in marketing is that most people in their businesses will always attack that 13 to 15%. But they never really approach the outside percentages, right?
Yeah.
The 80 to 85% of the people that are just kind of hanging out in the other part of the circle that aren't buying right now. So what I coach to is don't compete with your competition, but complete your audience, right? Complete your hearer. So what you're doing is you're giving value to the community, the listening community.
Yeah.
And they learn to trust you with that, right? So as I'm giving you value, I'm giving away all the sauce. I'm telling you exactly how to get it done, right? And so when it comes time for you to do that, and say you want to buy a program or you want to buy some additional assistance, maybe it's a video, maybe a book series or whatever, then you're more likely to buy from me rather than my competition, because my competition's out here trying to slam me. You don't want to buy from him because, he wears glasses and his eyes are crooked. And hey, look, I've got a discount on my prices. And, I rarely discount anything.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I understand the value. I price things correctly. That's number one. And then I understand the value of what it takes, right? So when somebody's listening to my content constantly and they're building that trust value, when it comes time for them to spend money, where do you think they're going to go?
That's right. Like you don't when you're building a business, I think one of like with anything, like building a house, one of the most important pieces to build is a good foundation. And you don't want to build your foundation off of, like, in the long term, it's not beneficial to build your foundation if you're destroying the other businesses around you. Like if you're trying to make your building stand out, you can't just go around tearing down the other businesses and say, oh, look how much taller my building is. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, yeah.
Well, a good analogy of that is in politics.
Mm-hmm.
I hate politics. I hate around voting time.
Oh, yeah.
Commercials get wild, don't they?
Oh, yeah. I got like 100 different text messages from like the, yeah. It gets crazy.
Don't vote for him because he sucks, right?
Mm-hmm. Like it's antagonizing. It's it's definitely, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and just seeing it more, and maybe you can help me out here with this, but it seems more like I don't recall this much like toxicness like when Bush was president, when I was younger. But it seems so much more like regardless who like somebody prefers, it just seems so much more toxic today to me,
But it could be that you're getting wiser, right? You're understanding more about how the world is working.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you're just open and you're seeing some things that you didn't see when you were younger. But politics has always been weird, right? So like everybody thinks politics is crooked anyway, but it just depends on what side of the fence you sit on.
I think when it comes down to it, it's all a matter of perspective, really. Like this one side can look at this guy, this one dude, and see a demon, but the guys are the people supporting him on the other side. That's exactly what they see when they look back at us. So I think, and I don't know everything, but I think one of the main priorities should be understanding the other side's perspective, because ignorance breeds fear, and ignorance comes from not knowing. So you can't know everything, but I think there should be an effort to sort of educate each other, at the very least, our perspectives on things.
I agree.
Yeah. But you go on, what were you saying?
No, I was just saying I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that we use politics as an example of what not to do. But in business, absolutely 100% of the time, if I could give any advice to anybody that's starting in business, is give away the secret sauce. I've had people say, well, I don't want to give away my secret recipe to my grandmother's fried chicken because then everybody in town will have it.
Fashion or famine.
Right. And so, but I can teach people to fish, or I can fish for them, that kind of thing. And I get all that. But if you give away the secret, nobody can cook it like grandma did. Even you take her recipe and you probably jack it up, right?
Exactly.
But here's the thing. If you give away the sauce, and this is what I've learned, one of my coaches had to convince me of this when I was in my earlier days. People love free, but they don't value it, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it because it's free. It doesn't cost me anything. But then when you go to give them, if I give you $1 million idea for free, you probably won't work it.
I definitely, I see that. Like I had a mentor figure, like we were having a book study sort of thing. And one year he made us he didn't make us pay much. It was like $10 for the book, but he made us pay for it. And he said the reason he did that is so you'll actually read the book. So you'll actually read it. Because when you spend money on something, you actually, especially your money, you value it more and you're more likely to use it. But I definitely see what you're saying there. It's free. Everybody loves free, but not everybody values it. So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't put value on it, then they won't, and that's the thing. One of my coaches did the same thing that your coach did. It was like, listen, why I'm spending, I'm charging you all this money for coaching, and I said, why is that? And he said, I would give it to you for free, but you wouldn't value it.
You wouldn't remember anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your checkbook is what holds you accountable. So just what you just said. So the same analogy, right? So that's That's why even in coaching today, I charge people the amounts that I do. And it depends on what you want, because there's 3 levels of coaching, right? And you have to be sensitive to where people are. We're not trying to rip people off. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
The point is number one, you got to eat, right? So pricing things fairly. But on the other side, you've got to have levels, because there's sometimes people that just can't reach up that high.
Mm-hmm.
A higher ticket client, if I'm charging somebody 10 or 15 grand or more, those do happen. But
Yeah.
in that environment,
Like
it's not,
price ranges.
yeah, you're not working at Wendy's, unless you've got some kind of a trust fund. You're not working at Wendy's for $8 or $9 an hour and trying to get into a $30,000 coaching program. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the level, but you still need help. So where do I go? So that's why we develop. There's 3 levels of training that I develop, and I help people develop in their programs, right? Which is done by you,
Right.
done with you, and then done for you. So done by you is usually the entry level. That's we provide all kinds of materials, coaching packages, as far as videos, books, training programs, and all that kind of stuff that you go through at your leisure, and you learn the principles. They're the same principles that I'm going to teach you in the other parts. The only difference is you don't talk to me on a regular basis. That's done by you, right? Done with you is, you come into the coaching program, and then I'm your accountability partner. And then every week we talk. I help you with the same stuff, but I lay everything out for you, and I walk you through it and hold your hand, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you do all the work, and that's done with you. And then, of course, done for you is you want me to build your photography business. Yeah, and I take over as your interim CEO, and you stand by my side, and I help you. You watch me as I build your business with you, right?
Yeah.
So like you're there with me, but I'm doing all the work, me and my staff.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's much more effective to a person in their personal situation when they have a sit down, or they're like with you in person or over the internet, like talking about your personal situation, as opposed to just a broad explanation of it. So yeah, that's definitely having those sort of classes, and just like coachings, or just coaches around. It definitely does make a difference having that sort of investment in your life.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things, though, is again getting past yourself. So even though I've got the systems, and that's why people come to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that's why they go to any coach, is because we have the systems that we know how to operate that bring the desired result. And all you need is the knowledge, the information, and then sometimes you need a kick in the butt, the accountability side, to say, hey, let's get this done.
Yeah.
What are you waiting on, right? But the other side of it is all of that's good, but without your participation, then it's null and void. You can spend, for most of my clients will pay like $4,000 or $5,000 for me to come in and make an assessment of their business and help them grow their business, right? So maybe they've already got something started, but they're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll come in there and I'll help make an assessment of their business, and have their website redeveloped or whatever they need, to refocus their business. But if they don't get off their butt, then it just won't ever produce.
You just need somebody or something to hold you accountable, whether it's actually spending your money, or like even if you're having that friend like say, hey man, come on, like just having that one extra piece like holding you accountable, it does make a real difference.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to post on social media 3 ways to get unstuck, or 3 steps to getting unstuck. And so basically the first thing is to write down whatever your project is, your mission, your whatever you're getting ready to approach, right? Mm-hmm. Write that vision down. And then once you write it down, get your accountability partner involved. When I talk to people about accountability partners, usually they don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for me, it's a big deal. Not on their part, but on my part, because I need accountability. I need somebody to say, hey, Greg, where are we at on this?
Yeah.
And then the third part, obviously, is, to develop a plan that you can put action on, and so an actionable plan. So, yeah, accountability is a big deal. You're right.
Definitely. So what's I guess what's an example that you'd be down to share? Like, what's an example, or I'd say a testimony, for lack of a better word, that you would have, or that you can give about your vision coaching, like with a client, like a testimony about it.
I've got several. I've got a life coach that I'm working with right now, and we basically came in and restructured his business. He was taking money, but he was undervaluing himself, and so he wasn't making enough money. He was still working his job, but now he's taking on all this responsibility as a coach, and he's burning up a lot of his non 9 to 5 hour job. Right. So when he gets off work, now he's coaching these people Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and he's not getting compensated for it. And so we took a look at his structure, his program, and rebuilt his website for him, restructured everything so that it all funnels through the same sales message. Everything he's doing on the internet got him more exposure, helped him write a book, to give him credibility in his marketplace. And helping him build. Right now, we're in the process of building him some training programs that he's going to release in his environment, which one of which we've done already has been a massive success. So he's starting to see a little bit of breathing room. Another one is actually closer to home. My wife's business. She has a credit repair, credit restoration, financial consulting. She does like budgeting and kind of stuff for people, and helps them get on the road to. Mostly, she wanted to help people buy homes, like but she was all over the place, with regard to her business.
She started with the homes, and then it branched out in a whole huge it expanded basically.
It was the other way, right? So she wanted to help everybody in the world because her heart is so big. Help everybody repair their credit. And so I let her do her own thing because she's, I'm an alpha, by nature, and she is too. So, what I did was, instead of, dancing all in her field, I let her kind of build out her own thing.
Gave her some space.
Coaching. Yeah, absolutely. But at the time she raised her hand and says, I think I need some help. And I'm like, okay, no sweat. Well, let's sit down and strategize. And so when we did, all we had to do is tweak a few things, right? And so I just, one of the things was really drilling down and figuring out who it is that you're talking to. You can't talk to everybody. You're not going to be successful.
Your voice won't travel that far.
Yeah, it just won't. And so we dialed in on who she really needed to talk to, and that's when we, got her down to a one-liner. Hi, my name's Shyla, and I'm with My Credit Healer, and I help couples who want to buy homes and their credit is trashed. So that's basically what she does, right? And so because of that, she gets referrals from her reputation now goes all over the place. Matter of fact, she got a phone call today from a potential client that came from a realtor that she's never met.
Yeah.
And so because we dialed into that, now it kind of, now it's getting out into the marketplace and realtors are talking. And there's a credit repair space, I'm going to tell you, it's very competitive. It's also very regulated. There's a lot of people out there that were doing dirt and really destroying people's lives. And so it's got a really bad reputation.
Yeah.
She spent a lot of money trying to get everything credible, but that wasn't enough. She needed to get, now that she's got her foundation solidified, she needed to be seen. And so we had to build her brand.
Yeah, like one of the things that sucks about I'd say the dirt, and that's one of the issues that people come into when it comes to investing in yourself, whether it's a coach or getting this product or this thing. You really don't want to get hustled, and unfortunately, when there's a hustler out there, and there's one out there, it really makes it difficult to sort of get past that barrier and get to that. I'd say a personal connection between the business owner and the client. Supplying something for a need, basically. And it builds up a barrier to get to that connection.
That's where the trust factor comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a rule out there called the 80-20 rule, and you'll hear it. And people say, some coaches will say, never give away everything. Give away 80%, and then let them come to you for the 20%.
Mm.
And I wasn't taught that way. Matter of fact, my coaches who are 7-figure a month earners, 7 and 8-figure a month earners, they'll tell you, give away all the sauce, give it all away. They're going to have to try to figure out how to get it done. I mean, they'll take the pieces, and some people will be able to do that, and that's great. Because really, listen, it's all about perspective.
Exactly.
What are you trying to do in the marketplace? Are you trying to make money, or are you trying to help people?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're trying to make money, eventually, I mean, you're going to get stressed out trying to do that, right? But if you just set out to help people, and then you set up the proper mechanisms in place to be able to capture the revenue, then the money will come because people will learn to trust you.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that was one of the first pieces of advice one of my mentors gave me. It's like, don't look for the money, look for the need that needs to be supplied, and the money, like fulfilling that need, the money will come,
Automatically.
So
Absolutely.
that was definitely a bit backwards from what I was thinking. Like, I had to sit down and talk to him about it for a minute, but yeah, that's definitely, in the long term, that's definitely much more effective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to build trust, man. The bottom line is, if you don't build trust with the people that buy from you, here's what will happen.
If I don't trust you, I ain't coming back.
Yeah, right. Or worse, right? And what's worse than somebody buying from you and not coming back is that they charge back the money that you took from them on their credit card. Right? So one of the worst things that you can do is develop a high ticket, and there's some controversy on this topic, so some people may not agree with me, but I've seen it happen not just with myself but with other people. You have high ticket clients, you start out in a high ticket industry and you haven't built trust.
Yeah.
Then you charge somebody 10 grand for a coaching program and they've never heard of you, and you don't build value like they think you should, they'll charge back that money.
Yeah, they don't feel like their services were met.
And credit card companies hate that. You will get your credit card privileges shut down for that many, for chargebacks that high and consistent chargebacks, right? So it's important to build things. It's a like you said, a foundation first.
Build a good foundation.
Absolutely, and then after that, put bricks on the wall, right? Build it one brick at a time. Don't be in such a hurry to get to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you start building, you can build and make. Let's break it down like this, and this is one of the things that I teach. So if you've got, if you wrote a book and you wrote a book and let's say you want to make $1 million, that's your goal, right?
Right.
You wrote a book, you sell the book for $20 a pop. How many books does it take for you to sell to make $1 million? 50,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to the next. So then from the book, we build a video coaching program that comes directly from all the concepts that you have in the book. So then you charge $200 or like $197, whatever for that. How many of those does it take for you to hit $1 million?
Not 50,000.
No, 5,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So $5,200 courses makes you $1 million. Okay, so then out of that you develop a mastermind program or a group coaching program that you charge $2,000 for. I don't know what that would look like, and based on whatever your product is, we would develop that out. So let's just say we're going to use 2,000 because it's a nice round number. So 2,000. How many $2,000 mastermind or group coaching clients do you have to sell to make $1 million? 500, right?
That's right.
So as you start at the book at $20 a pop, and you build to $200 a pop. Now you're building value in the lives of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Then you hit the mastermind or the group coaching, and that's $2,000 because people they're gonna want it because there's people in every market. There's always somebody there that's gonna want it, and they'll pay it, right?
Yeah.
Now maybe they might not be able to pay the $2,000 all up front, so then you come up with some creative idea.
Price range.
Yeah, for financing. So
Work
then maybe they pay $897 and then $497 for 2 months, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
However you do that, and then then you have your program. But you get your 500 people, you make $1 million. So it's not unreachable, but if you started out with the mastermind program and nobody's ever heard of you, you might be able to get 500 people over time. But how many of those people are going to be dissatisfied because they don't really know the kind of value that you bring to the table? And that's important.
Yeah, you got to have some good quality to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like one of the lies I believed are one of the things I was looking towards is getting money fast or getting rich quick, like that. But some of the best money comes from like longevity, like from long term. So that's something like that's what I'm trying to do, like develop long-term finances, Yeah,
I mean, you have to have strategy. So another thing is if you're not really familiar with how finances work overall, you learn in business, right? That first company that you build, you learn how to build a system.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep.
You learn how to build a system. Once you perfect that system, you don't even need to perfect it. Once you learn that's how that system is working, and you're still evolving it, right?
Hey, done is better than perfect.
Because perfect never gets done, right?
Yeah.
So then you take that and you drop that system that you develop on something else, and it'll automatically work because you've proven it, right?
Yeah. You got the evidence.
Yeah, the problem is that people want to run in and do 15 businesses all at once, or they've got 18 ideas, and they're all amazing, but they don't know how to use the parking lot, right? And so because of that, they end up failing because they divide their energy inappropriately.
Trying to multitask it.
Exactly.
It's like we were talking about niches, trying to say right, niches, like a while ago.
Niches gets niches. No,
yeah. But like you can't put all of your energy and effort into numerous niches at once. Like you can't really multitask with all those because ultimately you're gonna burn yourself out, and they're all gonna either flop or they won't be at the best quality that they could be. So it's really beneficial for you to work on one category or one niche at a time. Once you get that looking good, you go over, jump to the next one, and then so on, just going from there.
Yeah, we're in the process. My team and I are in the process of developing something called the wheel.
A wheel?
The wheel.
Oh, the wheel. Okay.
Yeah, like on your bike or your car.
Yeah.
And basically, what that is a program for high performers. There's a market for people that call themselves that are like ADHD. They say they're ADHD and they can't really focus on one thing.
Yeah, ADHD. ADHD is a very it's a very overdiagnosed thing.
It really is.
Yeah, but
I tend to find these people when they tell me, "Oh, I'm ADHD." I tend to find that I ask them, "Are you really ADHD or are you just a high performer? How high is your IQ? Where do you sit on that?" Not to separate people out to say some are smarter than others. It's not about that. It's about how your brain works. Right?
Yeah.
And so if your brain is functioning at a high process or a high process rate, then we need to tool programs that are gonna really speak to those individuals.
Yeah, you got to articulate it into something that I'd say like that sort of piques your interest or gets your attention.
Yeah, because if I've only got your attention for 20 minutes, like if you work on a project and and you work 2 or 3 hours on that project, and then you run out of steam, and not energy. I'm talking about emotional steam. Like, nah, I don't feel good about this anymore. I'm gonna move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what we do is we pick up our phone and we'll scroll through this timeline, or we'll go watch a movie, or we'll go lay on the couch, or we'll do whatever. But we're not working.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've done is we're developing. We actually put it in play already, and it works beautifully for people that have minds that they can't focus for long periods of time on things. Instead of moving from one activity that's productive to another activity that's unproductive, what we do is we put it in the wheel, and we build the wheel as big as they can handle it. But we start off with 3, so it's more of a triangle. But basically, once you're doing this one project, and then once you get bored with it, your mind goes somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Then you automatically see this next project because we put that in the way.
Yes.
Right. So then you move on to this next project, which is basically it's a productive thing for you to do, not unproductive. It's productive.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get bored with that, then you move to the third thing. When you get done with the third thing, you move back to the original thing. And so it's basically goes around in a circle, but you're doing productive tasks through the whole thing. So it looks like they're multitasking, but they're really not.
Yeah.
Because we can't, really multitask.
Like, you're still getting a lot done. See, like, from one angle you may recognize it's difficult to pay attention on one topic for a long period of time, and the solution to you may be, oh well, let me train myself to focus on that longer, which I guess could be a solution. But I mean, the wheel method, it's made out, and ultimately you're still getting a lot done in the long term,
and you're more productive.
Yeah,
we found that our clients that have issues focusing, when we employ this particular process, that they're exponentially more productive than they were before. Mm-hmm. And I've had some conversations with some of my professors in college, even they're psych professors, and some others that are doctors in that environment where they deal with the mind on a consistent basis. And they say, well, that's good that you put a fix in for people like that, but that's not treating the problem. And I'm telling them, listen, mm-hmm. I'm not trying to treat the problem. That's your job, right?
Yeah.
My job is to help them become functioning part of society. If I can help them along the way, I will, but I'm not trained for that. But what I have figured out is a way for them to be productive and still become a meaningful part of the society that they're involved in, and make mm-hmm. money and feel like they're being productive, right? Because a lot of times, think about it. If you're doing this one task that is really meaningful, like to say, you're building a website, and then you get distracted. Now all of a sudden, the rest of your day is gone, and it mm-hmm. takes you 3 months to build a website that should have only taken you maybe 2 days. Then you really feel defeated, and it's a breeding ground for depression and a lot of other mental ailments, right? Now, I'm not saying that I'm curing this with this process, but it's just one tool that we use to help people become more productive so that they can make money. You know what I mean?
It's like, if you give yourself till the end of the week to clean your room, it'll be done by the end of the week. But if you give yourself 2 hours to clean your room, it'll be done in 2 hours. So it's really just developing and structuring that sense of urgency around the things you want to do and in your niches.
Niches. I love that word.
Yeah.
It sounds so amazing.
Uh-huh.
I need a niche.
Every time I say it, I'm not really sure if I'm saying it right. Yeah.
Hey man, it's however you say it. Niche is good.
Yeah, niche. One of those. I got it right in one of those. But Greg, we've been going for about 45 minutes. I don't want you to give away all the sauce, at least not on here. So where can people find you so they can get all the sauce?
You can find me on Instagram at Official Pastor Greg,
mm-hmm.
And on Facebook with the same handle. And just reach out to me, hit me in my DM. We're working on redoing our websites. Our Healy Enterprises is our main company for our consulting, and our web designers. They have the site up, but it's not completed yet. So the look is up, but the feel's not completely done. But you can hit us there. But if you need to reach out and have a convo, then you can hit me. Find the link in my bio, and you can absolutely set up time to schedule a consultation. We can sit and talk and figure out what needs to happen next.
Yeah, I'll be sure to put all this down in the description too. Yeah, so I got you on that. Greg, hope to have you again on another episode.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, but for now, it's been real. It's been very informative, very educational. But I think I'm gonna have to let you go.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Hello. Here we are at the end of the video. My name is Caleb Woods, aka Caleb Poncho, and I like to just take a little short moment, if you'll have me, and take a moment and thank you for watching my video. So yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. No, I'm just playing. But no, for real, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you saw or heard something you liked, be sure to show some support. Hit the like button. Show some support on there. If you'd like to see some more, hit the sub button. Hit the sub. I post on here pretty regularly. Follow Pastor Greg. Definitely do that. Highly recommend you do that. Check him out. IG at Pastor Greg. I'm put all the stuff down in the description below, so don't even worry about that. But yeah, follow him. Check him out. He's an entrepreneur that has numerous businesses and helps other entrepreneurs develop their businesses. You know, he touched on a lot of that tonight on this episode. But you know, if you want to get the, like he was saying, if you want to get the full sauce, man, you gotta get it from the source. So I highly recommend you go follow him, check him out. He posts a lot pertaining to entrepreneurship and business in general, just a lot of tidbits and stuff on there, and then some that you would just be better off getting your hands on as opposed to just not having. So I highly recommend you go check him out, give him a look. And yeah, not really sure how to end this video, to be honest with you. So y'all take it easy, be safe out there, and I'll see you on the next installment. Here you go.